So, guys, hello. For those that you don't know me, I'm Yannis Vakas. I'm working in a technical department for many years, and just recently for 1 minute with the SQE before the last session, that I will always treasure in my heart. So, I will be your host for this part of the session. I hope you enjoyed the lunch. Normally, the pattern is that the people they are becoming a little bit sleepy, so we will try to. I hope that you have prepared a strong coffee, but also we will start with little exercise. So, the people from Ukraine, please raise your hands to see them. Okay, great. Dobre den. The people from Philippines, this is hard one. Magadang hapon. Romania, these guys from Costaza, Bunasera. I know this. Okay. Dry dogs, too many dry dogs. And India, wait, I have to. Namaste. Thank you. For the rest, Greek fellow citizens, καλησπέρα σε όλους. Before we start, I would like to acknowledge the effort of the production team, and especially Kostas Lyonis, who give a lot hard effort on this. Everything went smoothly. Everything is running perfectly. I can see also here in the screen. And also, what I would like to say is that this forum is a production of a teamwork, is a joint effort by the forum committee, which is many people from various departments working together, having nice ideas. And the forum that you are witnessing is a product of this teamwork. I'm really happy about the outcome of the forum, and I'm really happy to participate here. So, without any further delay, we will start with our first topic in our agenda that has to do with something that everybody thinks, especially when we are in our working environment, and has to do with appraisals. So I would like to welcome Captain Panagiotis Bargis. You know, everybody knows Panagiotis, to speak about the appraisals. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Yanni. Thank you. You have the clicker. Thank you. So, appraisals, evaluation reports, do we really need them? Is it's something not useful? It's a waste of time. Is it a waste of time? Do I have to show it to the cadet to give me his opinion about my evaluation on him? Do I have to show it to the cook? These are things that I heard in the past, and I'll give you my opinion on this topic, which is evaluation reports are a very useful tool for our advancement in life, in our professional career, and to build strong bonds with our colleagues. So, what is why we need the appraisals? The purpose of the appraisal is to identify areas for improvement. As we said, we are all people, we make mistakes, we start from zero and we go to a certain level. To reach that, we need the input of some people who are more experienced than us, who mentor us, and in this journey, we have to learn to accept it in a good manner and to try to evolve ourselves and become better. It's also a very good tool to identify training needs. We need, your job is very complicated, it's very difficult. You need to be training. You go ashore and in your short time of leave, you have to do so many courses. Some of them are coming from the appraisal reports. This is also to increase the morale and motivate people when they are doing a good job. It's an acknowledgement. You acknowledge your colleagues, your friends, in their good work, and they say, I'm doing something right now. So you have to show it to them. And last, the difficult part of the evaluation report is to surface and resolve grievances. All of us have grievances every now and then. But if we don't talk about it, it will never come on the surface, and it will never be resolved, let's say. So to put that into context, I have 4 evaluation reports here. They are real. It's from our vessels. I removed some names and vessels. I don't want to create some trouble here. And yeah, and I want to show it to you, a few examples to understand better what I'm talking about. So here, I will read it to you because it's small letters. This is an evaluation report of a master for an assistant cook. And the master says there, he's been taking keen interest in chief cook duties on board and also performing duties along with present chief cook. He's actively involved in making food, stores, etc. Very sincere, hard-working person, a good hand. This is a person that shows us that has been trying very hard, and the master acknowledges this. Don't be afraid, and don't miss on acknowledging people who work hard for you, because when you do that, the next time that you will see them, they will be even better. They will want to show you that I saw that you acknowledge my efforts, and I want to give you more. The next one, and it is very deeply connected in all the things that we said this morning. It's an evaluation report. Yeah, it's an evaluation report of an apprentice engineer. Apprentice engineer is a person who starts his career, and for sure he needs to be trained, he has lapses, and it's acknowledged. So what do we say here? He needs improvement, understanding, engine room normal operation and procedures. The chief engineer saying here that he needs to improve theoretical knowledge and understanding. Is this something bad? I don't think so. He's a cadet. But apart from that, he's acknowledging that well familiarized with his duties, at least at his rank, and will be glad to work with him in the future. Another part here, which has to do with the mental well-being, is there is a comment here. He was unable to perform his duties due to huge family problem. Promises to decide his family problem and never happen again. What does this show us? It shows us that the master, he took the time and he had a discussion and he surfaced a problem because he couldn't just say anything and said, this guy has poor performance and I don't want him anymore with him. But he sit down with him, they talked, and he understood that his poor performance was due to a problem, and he's giving him credit for that. And now, my last evaluation that I want to show you is a bad example. So, here we have a third engineer being evaluated by the chief engineer. There is nothing wrong here. Doesn't possess second engineer license. And then we go here. Ability to perform his duties. 2. I remind you, 2 is below average. But he's not telling us anything more about this thing. He's telling us that everything is okay, but in the ability, 2. And what is the worst part of this evaluation is this. Evaluated Siemens comments. Highly agree and appreciate comments of chief engineer. What does this show us? That this third engineer never saw this evaluation report. So why is it is important to show to the people that their evaluation reports? It is important because this third engineer have no idea of the opinion the chief engineer has for him. He has no idea that he probably needs to improve himself in something. And most probably, again, he will meet him in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and he will witness exactly the same person. Some of you may say that if I give negative comments to my crew, we will have trouble, we will have fight, etc. But in my opinion, it's the way you say something and not the exact thing you want to say. And I'll give you an example. If I say to someone that you have a very bad attitude, you create problems on board, I don't want you in my crew, I will never request for you to come with me again. You are good in your work, you know your job, but you create too much problem and I don't want you anymore. In this case, the person who is evaluated will say, this guy doesn't like me. But if you say you are very good at your job, you know your manuals, you are on time, but I would like to ask you to correct a bit your attitude, and you will see that in the future you will have, your job will become much easier. So what I have to say to the people of the evaluators, don't be afraid to give some with positive attitude comments to your people. Don't be afraid to praise them for their hard work. And to those who are evaluated, keep an open mind. Keep in mind that you will have all the time you need in your career to fix something, and always take in good spirit the comments of your superiors, because they may have some more experience and they can show you something better than what you, they can show you, they can advance your career. So, to conclude, I would like to ask you in the next break to find somebody who helped you in your life, who guided you, who gave you hard time to advance in your career, and thank him for that. This is the biggest award somebody can get from that. And to conclude, I want to start this. So I would like to thank my onboard family. Some people are here with me. Captain Cruz, he gave me hard time when I was a kid. Captain Manalati, Captain Ergas, Pumpman Poulos, they gave me a hard time. They gave me advice. They took the time to teach me. And I am the person that I'm here today, and I cannot thank them enough. I want also to thank my Ashore family, our crew director, Giannis, Adonis, Eli, Haram, Eleni Mathiudaki, the people who gave me some hard time, some guidance. They were patient, and they gave me a very hard, they lead me to the way to become the person that I am today. So it is a very good thing that if you do this during the break, I'm sure you will find somebody in here, since I found some people, and do that. They will really appreciate it. And that is all from me, and thank you very much.
Bravo, Panagiotis. It sounds a little bit like Oscars, but very nice. Thank you. So the next presenter is Ms. Herda Timirsma, who is our shore personnel manager. I give you, please.
glasses with me. Thank you, Panayoti. I think I'm going to be repetitive, and just because you mentioned lots of things that I wanted to say as well, but things apply, the same as they do to the vessels also on board. Before starting, though, with my short presentation, I would like to say something that I've been in the company for more than 3 decades, and it's the first time that I physically, that I physically attend a forum, and I also participate in it. I was really touched and sometimes emotional during the course of these 1.5 days, especially also by the presentations of colleagues, who gave presentations explaining things about how their departments work. New colleagues, some that have only been with us for 4 months, and I was really amazed, and really I felt a sense of pride. So I just wanted to say that. All these people, though, at some point, they will be up for appraisal, because in the office, too, we have performance appraisals, not as often as on board the vessels, because I understand from Panayiotis that you have twice per 6 months at some times. Here we have the probationary period, and I have to press my button, there you are. Probationary period appraisal, which is for new employees after they've just joined us within 2 months of recruitment. So we get a first idea of their performance. So we look at simple things like linguistic skills, the quantity, quality of work, and, for example, reaction to pressure. Every year, all of us, we're up for an annual appraisal. Now, this is in a form. We look again at certain things, like, for example, abilities. Is somebody able and willing to learn, to share information and knowledge with others? Skills, such as, for example, problem-solving skills, communication skills. We look at a few key questions. Is somebody able and ready to take on more tasks, other tasks? And are there any points for improvement? For example, if somebody can benefit from extra training. When we first introduced a documented appraisal system, there were a few problems, because all beginnings are difficult. There was resistance from some colleagues who believed that the procedure should remain private and confidential, in other words, not for the eyes of the employee. Of course, this is not in line with what performance appraisals are all about. Because how will someone know they're doing a good job if they don't get any feedback? How will someone know they underperform if nobody tells them? And how will they know what they can do to improve their performance? Over the years, the procedure has been evolved into what we now have, which is a combination of self-assessment and appraisal. So each person marks their own performance, rating their own performance from 1, which is not very good, to 5, which is excellent, and then passes on the form to the head of department, now, for their further input. Since it is a form, it's very easy to let this slip into a tick-the-box exercise, and this is something that's very important that we do not do. Instead, we should take time out of our sometimes very busy schedule and arrange a meeting to start an open and honest discussion. And I have to go to my next slide. We have to arrange a meeting, inform the member of staff that it's going to be appraised, that, okay, are you okay that time, etc., so that all parties can prepare for the meeting. Now, during the meeting, it is important to give positive feedback. Do not focus on the negative things. Discuss, so we have to have a discussion on what we could change, what we could improve. Listen, and we've heard it many times this past 1.5 days, listen to what the other person has to say. It is very important, because you know what? You may even learn something from it. We can all learn from one another. where you can get ideas and you can, you know, go on with it. Oh, sorry, I'm just a bit behind with my, okay. However, and I want to stress this, do not wait for the annual appraisal to discuss any problems. For example, if you see in someone that there is a change in behavior, a change in performance, take that person aside and, you know, talk with them. Ask, what is the matter? What's going on? We've heard it, you know, again, these past 1.5 days. It's very important to tackle the problem here and there, not let it fester, because it will only get bigger. And last but not least, oh, I was already there, and I'm just, you know, I switched the order of my slide a little bit because I want to end with a positive note. Compliment somebody, as Panayoti said before me, compliment someone on a job well done. You know, could be any time, any day. Don't wait for the annual appraisal. It's very important. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Herda. Very useful, I think, for both SOR and our CFR, sensor personnel. Thank you very much. Very interesting. So, our next presenter is Captain Delson Ross, our Marine Superintendent, who will speak about the passage planning. Okay, it's a little bit a deck-oriented topic. I would like to suggest to the Forum Committee the first engineer who will ask a question to Captain Delson to get an appreciation gift, maybe. Please consider, just to raise awareness. So please, Captain Delson.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and good afternoon to you. So for the engine department, there is another good reason why you have to pay attention. So the things that I will be showing you when you have to do an audit of the deck department, you look at these things, compare it whether it was done on board, and most likely you might find a few items which the bridge team may have missed. In this case, you can tell to the bridge team, guys, in your passage plan, you are supposed to have these things, and you see the bridge team will be quite surprised how the engine team knew this. So, what I did for this plan was I took one passage from each ship, passage plan from each vessel, and another 20 passage plans that I had analyzed over the period of 1 year for different reasons. And I made a list of the 10 most common observations or shortcomings in the passage plan. My idea is that as a fleet, these are the mistakes that the bridge team is doing as a fleet. So if we know what these mistakes are, most of us may have done it. When we go back, or those who are watching us remotely, they can improve and correct these mistakes. So what I have arranged this in like a billboard top 10 countdown order, the least to the most common ones. So let's begin. At number 10 was the lack of emergency anchorage. Now, on board, a second officer does emergency anchorage on the ECDIS. But the thing is, only the second officer knows how he did it, because this is kept in a file in the ECDIS, and then if he is not there, and if someone wants to see, it will be named user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, and no one else will know what it was. So when you have an emergency, rather than hunting the user file where this emergency anchorage is placed, you can take your passage plan, and if the coordinates are there, like how it is there in the left-hand plan, you can quickly use this. You don't have to wake up the second officer or let him come up and see what the plan was. So here you can see in one they did not mention, in other they have written as marked on ECDIS 1 and ECDIS 2. So any ideas, what could be number 9? Vertical clearances. If you pass by the Istanbul Straits, you will at least get 4 bridges and 2 set of power cables. Similarly, there is a bridge under the Suez, there is one in the Baltic, there are 2 in the Baltic Sea, and 33 of the plans, the vessels had used these straits, and 14 of them did not have. So 42% of the plans were missing any information about the vertical clearance. And this is vessels which frequently go to Istanbul are very well aware, oh, the bridge is well clear of my ship. No matter what, I will never hit the bridge. But this should not be an attitude. We should check the route, we should check the plan for any bridge, and make it a practice that every bridge has been accounted for, every power cable has been accounted for. Any guesses on number 8? Okay, security related information. This is the most easiest thing to find. You take out a security chart you have on board, the Q charts what you call it, draw your track, and everything that you require for your passage about security is there. Compress it or condense it, summarize it, and put it in that box. It will help your bridge team that they don't have to open the chart and see everything. The reportings, the where you have to harden your vessel, where you have to remove the hardening, all those kinds of information will be there. So the engine team, when you're auditing, the security is with the bridge guys, so please ensure that they have taken care of it. Number 7, anybody? The partner of number 8, environmental information, a very, very important aspects right now. And here I have put an example of a plan of a vessel which had done a reasonably good job of covering all the environmental information. We have different MARPOL annexes. There are 6 annexes that can be entered. When you are entering, exiting special area, you have to mention in your plan where you cannot dispose garbage or when you can dispose garbage, particularly sensitive sea areas. These are special places in our oceans which are very sensitive to the environment, and we need to take care of these places. Australian reefs, there are special regulations for Istanbul. You cannot have any overboard discharges. Mention it, and VGP requirements among others. Number 6? No? Okay, now if you see the ROT stands for rate of turn. So like any vehicle, when you turn, you can either turn it gently or you can turn it like a race car driver. So in this case, on ship, it is called the rate of turn, how fast the ship is turning. So if you see, I don't know if you can see the numbers, but the reason why what happens is the program automatically, puts the values and nobody sees it. So in this case, it's exactly the same number, 38 point something throughout. Rate of turn is important because if you are in open waters, you need to gently turn your ship. If you turn it very hard, it affects the performance, it slows down the speed, it consumes more fuel, just like your vehicle. You turn a very hard turn, it will burn more rubber on your tire. Similarly, you will burn more fuel on the ship. So wherever in open ocean, keep a gentle turn. I can understand in channels, in straits, you may have to turn it more faster. Number 5? Very close, very close. So parallel indexing was is the most hot topic in for a lot of inspections. And despite all our messages, somehow vessels are missing this one. In this case, the vessel has not written. They have written the distance and bearing from a point, but they have not written which point. So anybody seeing this would know that these guys never practiced it because it's not mentioned. So 53%, that's nearly half the fleet, had it missing in different ways. And this is something we need to improve upon. Number 4 is incorrect speed, and this vessel berthed at 13.5 knots. So this shows that when things are automated, you need to review it. Speed is important, and generally I would suggest the second officer to consult the master as to what speed should we require to berth the ship, to enter the vessel, to turn her around. When tugs are made fast, what speed do you need? So second officers should ideally not take their own call. What I know when I see vessel is the second officers decide depending on the UKC clearance. So if they slow down the ship, there is a better underkeel clearance, okay, let's slow it down. There is no other things they keep in mind. So this was a very common, 70% of the vessel had speeds that didn't make sense. Number 3, number 2, and number 1 was missed by every vessel, every passage plan that I saw, the 60 of the 60. So one was this temporary and preliminary notice, which I don't think anybody reads, although it's there. In this case, there was a notice where a dredger is dumping soil in somewhere in water body, and that said, please keep attention because dredgers come and put mud in it. The vessel had passed through the area, and there was no notice, no information, nothing available about it. Most likely, nobody read it. The information on TNP doesn't come on Navtex, it doesn't come on very rarely as a EGC warning, and you will not find it anywhere other than the TNP notice. It requires a little bit of reading, that's all, but the NAVTOR passage plan gives you the number that is affecting your voyage. You only have to read and see if you need to bring it to the attention of your team. Number 2 is tidal streams. Again, everybody missed this. Vessels write about currents, how currents affect, and they are trying to optimize the vessel's performance, adjusting for the current. But tidal streams are currents which are affected or caused because of the tides. And we have an automatically, you can calculate it. There are arrows that come in your NAVTOR passage plan. Click. It gives you the timing when it is affected. So if you are in Singapore Straits, English Channel, Istanbul Straits, these tidal streams will be there. Take a printout, keep it with your plan, so the predictions are available for the bridge team. And anybody, number 1? This is something you visit perhaps in your vacations with your family, but when you're on board, you may not use it. What could it be? Lighthouses. So this is something because of GPS, again, people don't pay attention. The nav station has a beautiful program where it shows the ranges, how much the lighthouse covers. So if you see the light, you can make it that this is a nice light for you for passage fixing, position fixing, and you can use it. So other than these 10, there were a few other things that we missed. We didn't mention risk assessment, tug requirements at port, change of buoyage system when you go from Ayala A to Ayala B. It's like when you go from a country from left-hand driving to right-hand driving. So there is the buoyage system changes for some countries, no mention of it. And there was a lot of copy-pasted information. Like in this case, the ship was not in a TSS, but the officer had just copy-pasted traffic separation scheme information. So a quick recap, 10 things that we missed out: lighthouses, tidal streams, and TNP notices being the most prominent. Engine department, take a screenshot in your head. For your audit, you can check these items. And for the navigation officers, this is something we will have to, as a fleet, change, improve, and make it better. So thank you very much. Be aware. Take care every time and everywhere.
Thank you very much, Captain Delson. Very nice. If there are any questions, we will address them at the final section of our session. Now, the next topic is a very serious one, since it has to do with MARPOL compliance. And we have together with us Mr. Lakis Dovles from TQC, the dinosaur, the veteran of our forums, in order to speak about magic pipes. Most importantly, he will do this in only 15 minutes sharp.
15?
Okay? I'm sure, I'm positive.
After they changed the schedule, I was supposed to be after the break. Now they changed the time as well. Yesterday, they just took the presentation out. Let's see what he will do today. He already sent me a message. Okay, good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, this afternoon's presentation is not a very pleasant one. It's a rather unpleasant one. And it's been almost 18 years since I first came across something like this. I was doing a project for OSG at the time, and they had a series of MARPOL violations. To cut the story short, they ended up with $36 million fine. That's a big number. It would wipe out the average Greek company. And the interesting part is that after 18 years, I'm still presenting the same stuff. So it means that it happens. And it happens in a lot of companies, and it happens in some of the best companies. And what I will show you today It's from my personal library of information and projects that we have done the last 15 years. And it's amazing that we still see things like this happening today. All the pictures that you will see are from certain projects that we handle, and they are not pictures that you will find on the internet, are from the projects that we have done. What you will see is mainly MARPOL violations from the engine room, but for you guys in the tankers, the same thing goes for the ODME. So whatever you see, it applies for the ODMEs as well. It's been a series of incidents that we have come across, and we have seen the intuition of the chief engineers and the engine room people on how they can bypass MARPOL, especially for the engine room bilges and MARPOL Annex 1 violations. This is a photograph of a case. That was a new building vessel. It was something like a year after it was delivered. A Greek chief engineer decided that he wanted to help the company by getting rid of the bilges through a portable pump. What a crude way to do it. So he sent the bilges from the bilge tank to the waste tank. One of the Filipino lower ratings took a photo, and all it took was some photos like this. The company was fined with a few $1 million. It took a few years to sort it out with the oil majors, because obviously oil majors don't want to do with companies that are involved in these kind of things for a number of years. That's another interesting video. This video was sent to my office. It landed on my desk a few years ago during July. It seems that for some reason they like to send things like that to me just before my holidays. That was a video that the company received. Again, a big reputable tanker operator in Greece. One of the lower ratings sent this video and said, this is what happens on board. And obviously, if you don't do what I want, then I will post it on the internet for the Coast Guard and so on. Actually, it seems that in that period, the specific company had a lot of issues like this. This is another case. That's an interesting one. This is a case from the same company, but from a different vessel. And they sent this video, again, with a message saying this is what is happening on board our vessel. This is an interesting case because they have set it up so nicely. They sent us the video, they sent us the they even had the names of the vessel, the chief engineer name, the master name, and they sent us a series of photos and material that could set up a full court case. And the company called us, we tried to investigate, we tried to find what was happening, and everything started from a fight between one of the oilers and the chief engineer. So the oilers decided that they had to get to the chief engineer, and they set it up. And there is a clear message here that I always point separately and on top of everything else while I'm doing this kind of presentations. You have to be vigilant about what's going on inside the engine room. That was a setup. That was not an actual case. So the message, as you will see today, is not only you don't get involved, not only you don't even think about it, but you have to know what's going on in your engine room even while you are not there. Because that was set up during the night and they had no idea. So not only you don't do it, not only you don't think about it, but you are aware if someone is setting up something for you. Now, as people were getting better educated in the issues of MARPOL and Annex 1 violations, we start coming across more sophisticated ways to bypass. So apart from the classic Magi pipes, we had a lot of tampering cases the last few years with oil content meters. And we had a lot of cases with clients again, where there would be, this is a typical layout for people in the engine room, you understand the layout. There is an oil content meter, there is a sample line, and we found that in a lot of cases, in some of them that went to the court, they were tampering with the sample line by putting a valve there or anything else, and they would direct into the sample line fresh water, and they would trick the oil content meter, or they could think of other ways to trick the oil content meter, and that was a way that a lot of people were feeling safe. You know, no one can catch me. There is no photograph. There is no way you can take a photograph of that. But let me tell you the most important thing. Trained people, people who do that as part of the business, the Coast Guard auditors, or an environmental auditor, or one of my guys from the office, if you put him inside the engine room, he will find out if you've been through operations like this one. Just shows how the system is tricked here. This is an actual case from another of our clients. Don't think that our clients are crooks. Huh? It's just that it happens everywhere. It happens even in the best companies. And in most cases, the office doesn't know about it. That's the most important thing. In this case, there was a valve. You will see that there is a valve on the sample line. A word of warning, make sure your sample lines have nothing on them. And they go directly from the effluent line, from the streamline, to the oil content meter without any kind of intervention, stoppage, valve, you name it. It has to be a straight line. If it's not a straight line, then the Coast Guard starts looking very carefully at what you're doing. That was an actual case that went to the court. They paid a few $1 million. I'm just showing you the example. And the worst part of it is that when you trick the oil content meter, when you put fresh water and you start tampering with the oil content meter, and they see 0 reading on your oil content meter, the next thing is they will open your bilge tanks. And if your bilge tank is like this, how can you support that you were discharging with a 0 ppm content? That's again a photo from the actual case. So when you start having 0 ppm readings on your oil content meter and you discharge overboard, you should start seriously question what is happening in my vessel. That was another case. Again, actually, that was recently concluded. That case was very interesting, not for the way that they did it, for what they did to the crew. And that's the other big part about all magic pipes and MARPOL violation in the States. I will try to mention later on when we will look at the consequences. Now, that was an interesting case. We changed the oil content meter. Before the oil content meter, there was a non-return valve. They changed the non-return valve. That was a possible violation. The sky's the limit. If you decide to go down this road, the sky's the limit. We can't stop you. But you have to think that if you start going down this road, there are serious consequences. And when we're talking about consequences about magic pipes, MARPOL violation, there is only one country that comes into our mind. Which is this country? What an easy question. The United States. Nowhere else. Because they have found a way to bypass all the legal obstacles that they have in implementing MARPOL the way they think fit, even with practices that a lot of people talk about, modern piracy, by withholding crew members for years until they get what they want. And how can a vessel with a foreign flag, with a Marshall Island flag, violating MARPOL on the other half of the world, in the Indian Ocean, can be prosecuted in the States? Do you have any idea? They have absolutely no jurisdiction. How can they put you in jail for what you did in the Indian Ocean? Do you know? Exactly. They have come up with a legal technicality where they actually do not prosecute you for the violation. What they prosecute you for is the falsification of your oil record book. So if you have thrown into the sea, let's say, 10 cubic meters of bilges without passing them, and you would write that down in your oil record book, they wouldn't have the legal background to prosecute you. I'm not saying that this is what you should do. I'm just explaining, okay? I'm just explaining the process. So what they prosecute you for is not the actual dumping of oily water into the sea, apart from the cases that you are stupid enough to do it within their territorial waters, in which case, you know, they can do that as well. But what they prosecute you for are things like monkeying, tampering, falsifying your record books, your oil record book, your log book, your engine control, your engine logbook, and so on. And if during the process you try to hide things, or you try to resist, or you try to create a different picture, or you don't say the truth, then the fine, the indictment is doubled or tripled or quadrupled, and it goes on like this. And let me tell you, every single bond you put down, we're talking about millions of dollars. So it might be $1 million, $2 million, and as the people from your P&I club will tell you, they will not cover you, because this is not accidental pollution. This is intentional pollution. You are a criminal. You are treated like a criminal in cases like this. So when I ask a lot of the chief engineers that we come up with that, why on earth would you do that? The main questions, the main answers I get are two. One, it was easy and simple. And two, I didn't know about it, sir. Well, you do now. Actually, that's from another Greek company listed in the stock exchange in New York. All it took was a memory stick and a few $1 million after. I have put together here some of the typical cases in the last few years. These are all MARPOL violations. You will see in all of them some very interesting trends. One, all of them are based on falsification of record. Without a falsification of record, they don't have a legal case. Two, in almost all of them, in most of them, some of the crew members go to jail. And the third one is that we are talking about millions of dollars. The United States have made, since the enforcement of the APP, that's the regulation that they use, and the CFRs and MARPOL, since today, the amount of how much do you think they have received as fines, that goes directly from the owner's pocket. How much in these years? $1 billion. That's big business. So don't expect that you can get away from that. The money is too much. It's a very interesting topic, and usually when we present it, we try at the same time to train our people on how to be aware of what's going on inside the engine room. And there are a lot of things that we can look at. I will just go very briefly through most of them because it takes a long time. But the main idea is whatever you write down in a small piece of paper, like your sounding logs every day, this is the most crucial piece of evidence. This is why we have said, never use anything outside from the forms that your company has given you to write down every day your soundings. If you start writing them in small pieces of paper, if you start writing them in somewhere in your computer, control is lost. This is the single most important piece of document when there is a trial to prove that the vessel has done the violation, that has falsified the records. So comparing your scrap log books versus the oil record book, or comparing the oil content meter memory, because you think, you know, I trick the meter with fresh water and I'm okay. No, I can go back and I can change for the history of the vessel what has been happening. A trained environmental auditor can go on board and check the history of the vessel and come up with very good results. So don't you think that if you do something in the middle of the Indian Ocean, you can get away with it? And then there are a lot of other possible things that they can look. Your oil content meter readings, physical evidence. They can even use chemical analysis to find the effluent streams. That's a very interesting case. One of the big Greek companies has been found guilty. On what basis? They have claimed that they did the checking of the oil content meter on an annual basis somewhere in Greece. They issued the certificate, and when the certificate was produced in the court, they checked the oil content meter, and they found that the day of the calibration of the oil content meter never was turned on. And because of that, they lost a few million cases in court in the States. So because I'm getting messages that my time is up, I just want to close with a very simple message that if you start thinking about doing anything like this, it is a very short road to getting into deep trouble. And as a last word, the people who get most hurt from these practices are the seafarers. Recently, we had a case with a client. The chief engineer had to stay 1 year in the States, and he was eventually, was one of the big cases. If you go into the papers, you will read it the last few days. He was released at the end because he was found not guilty. But he had to spend 1 year in the States away from his family. I know that everybody, to most of the companies that I go, they say, oh, we are a very good company. This is our best chief engineer. Let me tell you, some of the best chief engineers, because of complacency and because they think they can control everything, they were the ones that they did practices like that in the cases that we found going to the court. Any questions? I think the message is very simple. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, just to highlight something on what Lucky said, that we want to know. He said that some companies, they had this kind, you saw the videos, and they didn't know about it. We want to know. Please inform us when you have problems, if you have increased floods, buildings, or whatever, you call, and we will find a solution. There is an official route, an official road that we have to follow. There is no reason to risk everything for actually nothing. There is no meaning doing things like this. And be careful, this is your personal freedom, like said. Your personal freedom. You are on board, and you will have the big problem. So, yes?
Just one thing, a very important thing, because at the end of the day, it all boils down to something. What I didn't mention, and I think it must be mentioned, is that if you do report it to the office, there is a proper way to immune the company. So if you keep it on board, if things happen, let's say something like that, you realize that something like that has happened on board your vessels, and you try to fix it yourself, you will only make it worse. You will make the $1 million fine $5 million fine. And the $5 million, you will make it $15 million fine. Because we have the way to immune legally the company by doing the right steps, by doing the right investigation, by doing the right entries into the oil record book to immune you, and then talk to the lawyers on how to treat the case, and we can pacify it, we can make it null. But if you keep it on your own, you're just going to make it worse. So it's a very simple message. If anything like that happens, there is only one thing to do, call him.
Nice. Okay, I will not say anything else because he might come for third time on the screen. So, next subject immediately. Actually, it's a surprise. We will move everybody to the area that we have been yesterday for playing game. I will not say anything more. The ladies know, please go in the next room in order to say something there. Thank you. Hello, please have a seat. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the coffee. So, the next subject in our agenda is about the generation gap. We will see a short video, very interesting. So I would like to have your attention from everybody in order to have this very interesting, to look this very interesting video. Please have a look and we will discuss in 3 minutes.
The bigger challenge for us is how do you retain people? Because many a times the freshers, when they come in, within 6 months, 1 year after you train, they leave.
Yeah.
So that has been a big challenge, which we are still trying to address. We were thinking of looking at some kind of a retainership, at least 3 years.
Won't work.
Huh?
Won't work.
I don't know. So I'm just
saving you time.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So that's why I was just trying to figure out how do we do this.
So I want you to understand this. The world of business has seen 3 generations: the Industrial Revolution, the Information Revolution, and now we are in this revolution called the Social Revolution. Industrial Revolution, people took a job for survival. They wanted basic necessity of roti, kapda, makan. So they went in and they worked in a workplace, and they didn't leave that workplace even if the boss was abusive, and even if the boss would physically beat them up, people would not leave. That was the era of boss is always right.
Yeah.
Because opportunities were less.
Yeah.
That is pretty much the grandparents of today's workforce. Then came the Information Revolution, where all these IT companies, brands started building, And the workforce then came to work not for survival because their parents took care of survival. This workforce went to work for standard of living. Basically, get a good enough salary to pay the house EMI, the car EMI, children's education loan. Pretty much your generation. You went to work for that, for standard of living.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, in this generation, loyalty reduced. Now, the truth is that loyalty never existed in the first place. Loyalty didn't exist. There was no option. This generation, information revolution, got option. If they got a better quality of workplace and they got a better pay, then people would jump a job, right? Now, this was the information revolution. Then came the third revolution. After 2008's recession, information revolution died. Today, information is available for free. You can learn coding on YouTube. You don't have to, it's no longer a hidden knowledge. So, you need to understand, now we live in a digital revolution or a social revolution where everything is social, which means today's workforce, they don't care about survival. Their grandparents took care of that. They don't care about standard of living. Their parents took care of that. Even the labor does not care about standard of living anymore because even labor has Dish TV and Tata Sky in their house. So if you'll say, I'll cut your pay, or if you'll say, I'll bind you with a contract, they will say, thank you so much, I'm finding another job. Today's workforce needs something else. They want quality of life, not standard of life. Standard of life, parents took care. Today's workforce is thinking quality of life, which means quality of workplace, which means quality of job, quality of environment, quality of role, opportunity, learning and rewards, all of that. Unless you don't have a mechanism for that, you will always grapple with this retention challenge.
Okay, so generation gap, very interesting topic, which I'm sure most of you are facing in your working environment, on board the vessels, even within your homes with your children, nephews or nieces. We have together with us, in order to discuss this interesting topic, a group of panelists. I will start the introductions. Next to me is Mr. Anthony Labros, who is the Chief Operating Officer of our company. Ms. Herda Timirsma, who is the Personnel Manager. On the other side, let's say, representing the younger generation, two ladies who recently joined our company, Captain Eleni Glikofridi, who is the SQE Superintendent, and Ms. Lydia Mavropoulou, who is working in Marine Operation Department as an operator. So, I would like to start with you, Antonis, to share your thoughts on the subject and to tell us if the generation gap is a challenge or an opportunity after all.
Thank you, Yanni. And I will try to be brief this time, because I've taken up a lot of time during these 2 days. I find it an extremely interesting topic and extremely relevant for today. I think it is a great opportunity, and the real challenge is for us to take advantage of this opportunity. There are steps to take. There are a lot of gaps that we need to bridge. It is a real matter. I won't say it's a problem. It is an issue. We have it in front of us. We have it in this room, I believe. We have it on board the ships. And it's coming at a raging pace. So I believe that we need to be open about it. We need to discuss about it. We need to address it, so that we can find the ways to make all this work and all this, let's say, chemistry to be combined. This is my personal take.
Mm-hmm. Lydia, I would like to ask you, the video was very interesting. The message is clear. Talks about the work balance and how different generations look at it. What is your opinion on this?
Well, actually, my opinion is that this balance should exist and has to be set by the individual and from the company as well. It is very important for someone to be dedicated on their job, but life also is a very big part. Having said that, my personal opinion is that sometimes you have to do some sacrifices. You have to sacrifice some of your personal time in order to invest in your job. All that has to be within a limit, of course, but I think that the younger generation is willing to sacrifice some of their time in order to evolve professionally.
I see. Ms. Herda, your insights on the subject?
My insights on the subject. I believe, there is a generation gap. There always used to be a generation gap, and there always will be. But for me, it's an opportunity and not a challenge. There can be challenges on the way, in the form maybe of differences of opinion, different views, but they should never become obstacles to improving, to learning from one another, because I think that's the main thing. And to move forward as individuals, as teams, and as a company.
Very nice. Captain Eleni, Ms. Heda said about learning between the different generations. You have sailed on board the vessel, so I'm sure you have interesting information and stories to share with us. But I would like to ask you, is the hierarchy on board the vessels restrict the teamwork and the cooperation which are necessary in order to bridge the gap?
Thank you, Yannis. First of all, I think it's a very interesting subject that affects all of us. Age gap surely affects the communication, but the difference is that in a healthy working environment, you can bridge this gap. I can reach out to my manager and discuss what bothers me. But if you put the hierarchy in the picture, the thing becomes a little bit more complicated because the hierarchy disrupts the communication. And also due to hierarchy, people make assumptions, creating stereotypes. For example, the older co-workers like captains or chief engineers are assuming that the younger co-workers are lazy, not motivated, and the younger ones are assuming and creating stereotypes that the older ones are bad at technology, for example. And this is the main gap that needs to be bridged. And like a small disclaimer, because the word old is very strong, I meant the not so young anymore persons, okay? I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
They're relatively senior.
Yeah.
I see. Adonis, concluding the first round of discussion, also Captain Eleni said about the technology, which I don't know if it increases or not the generation gap. And I would like to ask you in addition, why we are discussing this matter? Why is it so important?
I will tell you. Thank you, Yanni. First of all, I'll pick up from what Eleni said about stereotypes. I think this is a very interesting word, and it is something that we also find in the office. I get this rhetoric also from a lot of my colleagues because, and I'm coming to the second part of the question now, recently we expanded, as you all know, and over the last 2.5 years, we had to take in the office about 30 people, 35, maybe more. And the majority of these people were young people in the age group of 20-something or early 30s. And we actually came across a very different behavior than what we were used to compared to the company. This company has been a traditional company. We have an extremely good retention rate in the office, like we have at sea. It is the company that we had one person depart every, 5 or 6 or 7 years. And now within 2 or 3 years, these young people, we saw that even though they had the good qualities, we were not always able to attract them and to keep them. Like the video said, and that is why we found this video. Thank you, Yanni, for contributing the video. We found this video that actually hits the nail exactly where it should. So this was a trigger for this discussion. Stereotypes is something that we see in the office. I get this rhetoric a lot. From my people that are my generation, my other managers, this younger generation, they are not digging in deep. They are very superficial. They're very fast. They want to get over with the work and get done. I hear that sometimes they say they're lazy. Another common thing that we do, they do not work as hard as we used to work. They have it easy, when in our days it was difficult. Maybe we had heard this when we were young and our parents were the older generation. But this is something that doesn't work positively. This is the bottom line. Every generation has its challenges, but also it has its skills and its abilities. Personally, I am very much, I would say, like Heda said in her presentation, proud that we have been joined by these people in our office. We want to make this mixture work. I believe in the skills and the abilities that this generation have. This is a generation that was born with a mobile phone in their hands. They can, swipe like this. They can do things that we cannot even imagine. We know a few things. I'm not saying that we are obsolete. We are a little bit, dinosaurs on the way to extinction, but we're not yet extinct. But if we can combine, our qualities with these skills and abilities, I think something very good can happen. And technology, of course, like you said, it is something that it is an obstacle that we need to reverse it and turn it into an advantage.
Thank you, Antonis. Captain Eleni, to come back to you, what are the potential problems that somebody might face in the working environment due to generation gap?
Generation gap surely creates problems in the workplace. Okay, the most common one is like people tend to judge other people. No, I will use another example. People tend to look at the cover of the book often. People stick to the looks, stick to the gender, but this is for another forum. And very often also to the date of birth. And they tend to judge in advance the professional effectiveness of a person without taking interaction with them. What if I told you that tomorrow will come a person working here that is born 2004? 2004 was yesterday. Greece hosted the Olympic Games and Ruslana won the Eurovision. What do you mean? People were born 2004. But they do, and they can bring value to any workplace. And if I can share one small story of mine.
Please do.
When I was 18 years old, I was first-time deck cadet on board a ship. My first month on board, we arrived at Libya. Captain was typing the NOR, Notes of Readiness, in his computer. I was taking photocopies next to him. And I saw the name of the port in the Notes of Readiness. It was S. Sedir. No. And I speak, Captain, I think it's S. Sider. What? He speak, no way. George, the chief officer, where are we going? Where are we arriving? The name of the port. And Captain is S. Sider. And okay, that time, like I saved with my very little experience of 1 month on board. And this example was not to promote myself. I'm the coolest person on earth. Maybe Captain was the coolest person on earth because I was already 1 month on board, a very short period of time. And he gave me the sense of security to speak up my voice. And he took advantage of my small professional value. And I think this is the key point to that.
I see. Ms. Gerda, I was planning also to ask you about stereotypes that Captain Eleni said before. What are the steps that we should follow in order to eliminate them everywhere, in the working environment or on board the vessels?
Well, I can speak mainly for the office.
The office, of course.
I'm afraid. What can we do? I think we've started this, by having a mix of people of different generations in the office. Different backgrounds. What we are aiming at now is creating teams, like, even events like this will help in people in bonding, in mixing and learning from one another. I think that's always, I always get back to that because I think it's very important. So we are working now on certain things of arranging certain events for people to get together in a different way, not maybe related to work, etc., but to create a bond between the various generations, and in that way to bridge the gap, if there is any.
Yeah, this is very important. The bonding, have you seen it, Lydia? I mean, in your working environment, the learning between the different generations, the older people, because you are very young.
The working environment in the company is one that allows you to go to the older generation who knows much more than you, give you advice and help you with your daily tasks. There is this bonding going on that Ms. Herda was mentioning, and it is I'm very happy to see that this is something that takes place, because it is mandatory in order to address the situation of the generation gap and to go a step closer to each other and learn from one another, as you mentioned earlier.
So, I think that the time is ticking. We shall make one final round. I want to share with the audience your final thoughts on the subject. I will start with you, Captain Eleni.
Final thoughts. I believe the age diversity, I will call it that way, age diversity in the workplace should be embraced like a privilege, either for a company or as the SIP, as individual working environment, because you have the wisdom, you have the experience in the one hand, the other hand is the new perspective of things, maybe new knowledge. If you combine this both in a good ratio, you have the key to success.
Very nice. Ms. Gerda?
Well, I agree with Eleni, and there's nothing much to add, I believe. I'm very optimistic for the future, and I think, you know, that with the help of everybody, we've heard the words a lot: teamwork, communication, trust, whatever, you know, all these things that matter to move forward.
Yeah, these are very important words, yes. Lydia?
My final thoughts is be willing to help one another and be patient, and that goes for the younger generation. Be patient, try to learn more, try to invest in yourself and in your workplace, and you will have a fruitful outcome. Yeah, correct. Thank you.
Antonis, last but not least.
Thank you, Yanni. My take is that we have achieved a lot. We saw our history yesterday. We have come a long way. And for the people in my generation, our captains who are here and our captains who are on board listening to us, and our chief engineers, our, let's say, senior people, a little bit more senior, as you said. My message is this: I think it is our responsibility to create this environment of trust. The young generation are here. I see people that are eager to learn, eager to get better, eager to offer, eager to contribute to our cause. Maybe they are eager for more stuff. They want also recognition. They want other stuff. Of course, they are eager, but I see they have a thirst. And it is our responsibility to create this environment of trust. And at the stage where we are now, the best thing we can do is to pass on our knowledge and our experiences and to show our trust to this younger generation. We will not be around here forever. We are on the verge of extinction, like we said.
Okay.
You
have a little more years.
In a few years, whatever. But this is the best thing we can do now for our organization, to try and pass on our knowledge and experience to these people. And I really believe in this generation. Okay, that's my take. Thank you.
So, as a closing remark, I have to say that you know, we did not try to find solutions about the generation gap, more to raise awareness. We had very nice views on the topic, which each one can take as a thought for food for thought, actually, in order to become better eventually. I don't know if anyone from the audience wants to ask any question to our panelists. Anyone?
It was all very clear.
Okay, so
the younger ones were on the phone, and the older ones were a bit asleep.
Okay then. So
bravo, Nick.
Yeah, that's exactly stereotype. Okay, so we sum up. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Let's give a big round of applause for our. Thank you. So, without any further delay, and now that I can see that you are still awake, I will invite the C, the man, Mr. Siman, and the legendary. You are close, okay?
The umbrella this time is those people who have your back, maybe not directly, but indirectly. And I'm talking about the legal department. Now, the legal department has been described to me recently as a parallel universe. And when I asked the head of the legal department whether this was true, she had one word to say: yes. So please welcome Angeliki from the legal department.
Thank you, Mr. Simon. So, good afternoon. This is my first time on a stage after so many years. I think Hara can confirm that. So, on behalf of the legal department, I would like to welcome you all at this Seafarers Forum taking place for the first time here in Athens, although we are ending shortly. We are very happy to have you all here, and we wish you to enjoy all the activities scheduled and get the utmost out of this forum. My name is Angeliki Ikonomidou. I am a member of the legal department of the company. I actually consider this organization as my family and myself as an old staff, not only because of the color of my hair, but mainly because I have been working for the company for the last 27 years. Most of the seafarers attending this forum, if not all of you, have never had a close interaction with the legal department, which means that you are doing things right and in strict accordance with the law. For this achievement of yours, you should please accept the sincere and warmest congratulations of the legal team. As we did not have the chance to meet with any of you at any of the previous fora or any other occasion, let us please tell you briefly about the legal department's role in the company. Our team comprises of 5 hard-working and very dynamic ladies. The legal department is at the heart of the organization, as it is typically responsible for all the company's bindings and for providing legal advice and guidance in order to help the relevant departments to understand the legal implications in connection with the daily operations or projects, and thus comply with the applicable legislative and regulatory provisions. In addition, we are here to help the departments to deal with and resolve various problems or issues in everyday operations on board the ships or ashore. The legal department handles a wide range of legal tasks, such as drafting, reviewing, and negotiating commercial contracts or other agreements, legal research, handling of litigation, arbitration, mediation cases, P&I claims, perform legal risk assessments and proposed improvements, etc. Moreover, the legal department gives advice and handles all sorts of claims in the course of fixture negotiations of charter parties, marine operations, technical operations, sale and purchase agreements, financing, etc. The legal department's aim is to assist the company in reaching its business targets and goals. We always encourage colleagues to act proactively by obtaining legal advice when in doubt for all matters which are likely to bear legal implications for the company, and the legal team is ready to assist by providing high-quality professional assistance. We equally encourage seafarers to always discuss all matters bearing legal implications that can cause them concerns or, when in doubt, with their point of contact within the organization, and the legal department will be advised accordingly in order to assist and take up matters as it may prove necessary. Thank you very much, and hope you enjoyed your time at the forum.
Thank you, Angeliki. Now we're moving on to compliance. And I would like you to give a big hand to Stella and Elena.
Thank you, Mr. Seaman. Hi,
welcome.
Everyone. No problem.
You're welcome.
Hi, everyone, again. We met yesterday when I presented to you how blame fixes nothing. But now I'm here as your compliance officer. I am Stella Koulatsidou.
And I am Elena Kokinou.
And we are the compliance department of the company, just the two of us. It's very nice meeting you all here during this forum. It's a great pleasure for us indeed.
We are glad to have this opportunity to present our department to all of you, some of whom may not be familiar with what we actually do. Okay. As you are surely aware of, these past few years there have been many sanctions imposed on various countries. Our main responsibility is to monitor all developments regarding sanctions in order to ensure that our vessels are always employed in legitimate trades. To achieve this, we are following on a daily basis all new updates and changes in the sanctions laws and regulations. We have to know which cargoes are banned, which are allowed, under which circumstances, etc. And then we advise the chartering department, of course, because they are the ones who have to charter our vessels.
As Elena already explained, new sanctions are released on a regular basis, and it is extremely important for us to be up to date, since things may change from one day to another. One of our main tasks as compliance department is the prefixture procedure. Before a vessel is fixed, we check all the elements of the voyage, such as the cargo, its origin, its CN code, the charterers, the suppliers, the receivers, the port agents, the port authorities, all of them. Because we have to establish, it is very important for us to establish that the trade itself and the transportation of the cargo itself is in compliance with all laws and regulations. And also it is very important to establish that no banned persons are involved, or banned entities are involved in the voyages. It is our responsibility, our duty, to make sure that all the trades of all our vessels are legitimate. It is also very important for various sanctions clauses, for the appropriate sanctions clauses to be inserted in the charter parties, and is something that we have always keep in mind and work on it, again in cooperation with the chartering department.
We also do something that may be a bit more familiar to all of you. We are involved in the clearance of vessels for the STS, or ship-to-ship operations, that I'm sure all of you know, are familiar with. When a vessel is nominated to conduct STS with a vessel of our fleet, we check the nominated vessel and her trading history to see if there are any suspicious activities that could perhaps show that they have participated in unlawful trades. For example, no ice signal or mixed signals from the ice. They are red flags. We also check the vessel's ownership and management to, again, check if there are any sanctioned parties involved. Based on our findings, we decide whether we approve of the STS or not. As also mentioned yesterday by our colleague Christina from the bunkering department, we run similar checks for bunker suppliers and bunkering barges that supply our vessels.
Our department is also in a daily contact with our banks and our financial institutions for various requests regarding compliance and due diligence. We try to maintain a relationship of confidence with our bank, of course. We are also in a daily contact with our insurance department and our valuable colleague, Mrs. Maria Malegu, who presented her department earlier this morning to you. We correspond with her every day in order to satisfy all requests of our insurance regarding against compliance and due diligence matters.
Last but not least, we also handle KYC requests from our charterers. KYC stands for Know Your Customer, and it is a procedure that is necessary for the registration of the ship-owning companies on the charterers' systems in order for the freight payment to be processed. I know what we do is a bit hard to understand, and I hope we didn't tire you too much with too much information. We want to close with a small piece of advice that applies to all aspects of our lives. Compliance may not always be easy, but it is necessary. Thank you all for your attention.
Thank you.
This morning, Maria Malegu described herself as a one-woman band. I would like to call these two the dynamic duo. Now, on to our last speaker. He's one of the kindest people and nicest people you would ever wish to know. And his name, from compliance, is Alexander. Fixtures, sorry. I had compliance down here. It's not my fault. I'm no, I'm not blaming anybody. No blame, no blame.
So, good afternoon to all. My name is Trizhov Alexander, and I'm here to present a brand new department in our company, which called Prefixture Department. But first, I will introduce myself. So, I start working in this company in 2008, and I start working as deck cadet. And I work in, my first vessel was Sea Express, which I also remember very well. And the past few years I worked as chief officer, and I disembarked last summer, and then I was called in head office and reemployment to the company, to head office. So regarding new department and what we are doing, actually this call, like I said, prefixture, and
sorry.
And totally we have two persons for the moment, this me and Yeremenko Kirill, and I will explain you how it's work. So when the charter department is put vessels on subs, we start the job. So all communication between the charterer, broker and vessel is on our hands. So as you know, the many requests are coming from the broker, and some of them is very complicated, very technical. And since I work on board the vessel, I was the one who do this questionnaire and stowage plans, and I know how difficult sometimes it can be. And for many reasons, for navigation, for cargo operation, Ladicator problem, and many things that can happen on board the vessel, it's million things. And, but anyway, the replies must be in time, because for some reason that the subs may due in hours, and that's why sometimes we call and try to speed up. And also it's need to mention that until I am working there, I really try to minimize vessel involvement in prefixture procedure. I try to fill up the questionnaire for the most of the times. And of course, we still need vessel involvements for this, because of some technical questions which cannot be obtained in the shore. It must be from the vessel side. And also we understand that sometimes there happen communication problem with equipment, but the reply still not be. So sometimes we even calculate stowage plans, but I didn't say you that. For this reason, the communication between the vessel and my department is quite important, and I want to appreciate everybody who, from the vessel side, who involved on this. I hope we will keep the same level of communication and performance, and we will continue like this. So thank you. And one more what I want to say, it's on behalf of Ukrainian seamen, I want to take some gratitude for every office personnel, for the top management especially, and for every office person who care about Ukrainian seamen. And you know, your support is really important for us. And first of all, we are not losing jobs, and we understand that the crew changes when the war started. It was really hard, but anyway, you manage everything. And the second thing, that you help to us a lot with some common things which are not so common for the marine company, but you help a lot of us. So thank you for this.
Thank you, Alexander. That concludes our department presentations. Thank you very much for listening to them and paying careful attention to what they had to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seaman, for the full 2 days. Thank you. So, next we have a video presentation. It's called Dimitri versus Dimitri. The good news is that I'm not playing in this time. So, no, the good news is that I'm not playing inside. So it's visible. You can see it very easily, you know, without me trying to be on the screen. This is the pioneer movie, let's say, after we started the blockbusters with the mental well-being and everything else. So it's not a role-playing movie. We consider to bring together Dimitris Aradis and Dimitris Fakiris to discuss, let's say, without the cameras, to pretend that they are not there, and to have a view about the observations that we are getting from post-state controls and other third-party inspectors. So we can start to see the video.
Emergency lights around life rafts and lights around accommodation not working. Are they serious? We got the same observation again and the vessel almost got detained by port state control. Hi Dimitris. Have you seen the port state control that just came in? Well, okay. Can you have a look at it and come to my office and talk about it? Okay.
Hello Dimitris, how are you?
Hello Dimitri. I would like to say okay, but we got another port state control report with some of the usual deficiencies. Come over and have a look. Emergency lights and lights around accommodation again. Why do the PSC inspectors keep on raising these? Obviously, they're an easy target, but why do they focus on such minor items?
Well, in order to write a deficiency, there must be a breach in one of the conventions, like MARPOL, SOLAS. But irrespective of this, imagine what would happen in case of an emergency during night time, with the lights didn't switch on. We say, for example, a case of a fire. So many lives can be lost by people getting disoriented and couldn't escape. Either they're suffocating to death or going down with the ship. Unfortunately, criticality can hide in details.
Okay, I see your point. From the safety point of view, they are very important in case there is an emergency situation on board. So, what can we do as a preventive measure? Not only to avoid observations, but to make ships a safer place for all.
There are always weak signals, and this is what everyone should be looking out for. Cabling slowly gets worn or hanging out because of vibration, glasses that are missing or are cracked, supports that are rusty. Sometimes it is as simple as a light bulb that needs to be replaced. The issue is that people walk by and do nothing about it. The solution is that we should look out for these simple things and we must immediately intervene. Walking around in the accommodation in engine room or on deck, we should notice those things, and when we notice those things, we should report immediately to the master or the chief engineer.
Okay, I see what you mean. We have the plant maintenance system, which covers the lights too, but we need to be alert to the possibility that something is being missed out. I think this is the chronic unease that everyone is talking about now.
Correct.
Okay, have a look at the next one. The third engineer could not start the emergency fire pump. Well, he was new on board, and they didn't even give him a second chance. What's the big deal? The emergency fire pump can be started by the second engineer, chief engineer, or even from the bridge, I think.
You are right, but consider an accident where the chief engineer or the second engineer are unable to start the pump. Ships have burned down, lives have been lost because simply the emergency fire pump didn't work. Another common mistake is that the switch controlling its operation is kept at local control station, and when they wanted to operate it from the bridge, they cannot.
Okay, I understand your point. If I remember well, everyone on board should be able to start the emergency fire pump and the emergency generator. Or is it only the officers?
All the officers and crew should know how to operate them. You never know what comes along with a fire. Everybody should be prepared. That's why we have the drills, where everybody should participate. Even the catering department may be required to use an emergency equipment, and they should be able to do so. Another point that I frequently find on board is that the galley staff is not familiar with the fire prevention equipment, how to operate them, and the actions that they need to follow.
Now that you mention it, another observation that pops up from time to time is regarding the galley fire doors and fire doors in general. Why do people keep latching them open with wires and ropes, etc.? This is an open invitation to the port side control officer to write an observation or even detain the vessel. It's a shame because these are simple and easy to rectify items.
Now you raise something very important. Sometimes people cannot understand how important are the fire doors for their safety. Have you heard the case of the Scandinavian Star?
Reminds me of something, but I'm not sure.
Well, this was a Norwegian passenger ship that got fire in 1990. I don't recall the initial cause of the fire, but the point is it quickly spread throughout the ship because the fire doors were last open. The staircases acted as funnels providing air to the fire. In the end, out of 400 people on board at the time, 160 died, including many children.
Tragic. And this could have been avoided if the fire doors were kept operational.
I will never get tired of saying it. We should always be alert at all times and we must intervene. If we find an unsafe practice, we should either correct it or report it. I understand that sometimes people the fire doors open because the fire doors make a loud noise when they close, or they want to move fast from compartment to compartment. But the fire doors are there for a reason. We can adjust the closures, we can fix them not to make a noise, but we must never let them open. Our safety is much more important, and the fire is one of the greatest hazards on board.
Which brings me to another frequent observation, fire dampers. Once, a ship of ours was detained in China because one fire damper left 1 centimeter gap and did not close all the way. Can you imagine? 1 centimeter gap on one damper. What's the problem with this? Surely this was a bit extreme on the part of port side control, wasn't it?
Yes and no. The deadliest word that comes along with a fire or general in safety is almost. It gives a false sense of security. 1 gap centimeter is sufficient to fuel the fire with air, thus allowing it to spread and make it impossible to extinguish. The idea is that the fire dampers isolate the engine room completely. In that case, the air cannot come inside and feed the fire. If it doesn't seal tightly, then it doesn't work. This reminds me of the case of a Cape-sized bulk carrier, the Marigold.
Ah yes, we had read about that one. The Cape that caught fire at Port Headland while loading. Unfortunate event. What actually happened there?
If I recall well, the cause of the fire was the fuel oil spread from a generator engine onto a hot surface, an uninsulated hot surface. This is a major problem, and unfortunately we come across it sooner than it should be.
Oh yes, uninsulated hot surfaces in combination with fuel leakages are very, very critical. We ran a safety campaign last year focused on that alone.
And rightly so. Anyway, the crew on the Marigold tried for a half an hour to close the fire dampers and couldn't. Eventually, the fire spread throughout the engine room, and worst of all, the chief engineer and one oiler ended up with third-degree burns. You see, in the end, even something we consider a detail can play a major role in an accident. Similarly with air vents. We must maintain regularly the dampers and vents and be sure they close properly. We want our people to remain safe. In safety, there is no such thing as almost safe.
Thanks, Dimitri, for sharing the info.
Anytime, Dimitri.
We ask a lot from you. Plant maintenance, extra care of critical equipment, repairs to machinery damages, preparation for inspections by class, port side control, vetting, etc., etc. But please remember, everything is about safety. It's about your safety, and there is no room for shortcuts.
Nothing fails at once. No problem starts out by being big. Everything starts out as a detail, a minor issue, a weak signal, an unsafe practice. Keep an eye out for these weak signals. Observe your environment around you continuously. Identify these signs and intervene. Deal with the problems early on before they become bigger. The target is only one, to get back home safe. Never take your eyes off the target.
Bravo, congratulations to our two Dimitrides. That is almost a real-life depiction. So they are both here. Can you stand up, please? They are very tall, both of them. Congratulations to them. Is there anything that, Dimitri at the back, would you like to add anything to what we just saw? Feel free. Come here. Έλα, Dimitri. Πιάσε το podium, πιάσε το podium. Πιάσε ένα μικρόφωνο.
I think you understand.
Microphone.
Can you hear me? Yes. I think you can understand what we wanted to pass our message. The only thing that I want you to say to you is that you have to remember that you are not alone. In case that you find something, we are here for you. We are working and we are trying to be, as I have learned so many years now in the company, that we are family. You are working on board, we are working ashore. We are a team, and let's continue to do it like that.
Thank you, Dimitri. And now, Dimitri, let's see what he can do without any PowerPoints and slides and complicated calculations and EXIs. Please, Dimitri.
What I would like to say is that, okay, we have the PMS, which covers everything, safety equipment, firefighting equipment, also main engine, diesel generator, boilers. All these inspections and tests and maintenance are very, very important. My point is to do them timely. Okay, for the weekly jobs, maybe you cannot do all of them, but at least once per month you should do them, and these are all for your own safety. This will prevent machinery damage, which will get to something worse. So please do all the tests and inspections as per PMS and timely, and also the drills, SQE department. And another thing is training. When new people come on board, to train them on the firefighting and life-saving appliances, how to use them, how to use the emergency fire pump, the dampers, how to, everything, to train them how to use the life-saving appliance firefighting equipment. This is all I had.
Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you, Dimitri. So this more or less concludes our event, more or less, because there is a little bit more still. Now is the time where you have the opportunity to shoot me. I am here. You can ask any questions you want. There have been already a few questions that have been asked over our Slido application. They were through Slido, these questions, yeah? So this Slido application is open and anybody can post a question anonymously. So I will start with the ones that have already been posted. In the meantime, please think if you have to ask anything, me, not only me, our colleagues, our organization, all the people who made the presentations, anything that you have noted during these 2 days, we are here to address it if you have something like this. The questions that have been already placed and, on Slido, they broadly fall under 3 categories. Number 1 is relieving our crew on time with their contract completion, because they have their obligations, they have life to go ahead with. And this first question, it will be relatively easy to answer. I can invite also Panagiotis to address this if he wishes. I know it is a continuous effort. It has not been easy, obviously, during the last few years. There was this problem with COVID, and after that, this was followed, of course, by the war in Ukraine, making things complicated. Panagiotis, you can say a word this, but our effort is still there.
We are very aware that sometimes it happens. Some crew changes delay, especially during COVID. It was a very difficult period for us. After that, the fleet expanded, which created another issue. A lot of new people, parallel sailing, difficult ports, etc., etc. But in most cases, what I can say, and I want to thank you for that, is that most of you are dealing with it well. You help us very much in this difficult task, and I cannot thank you enough for that.
Thank you, Panagiotis. the second question that was posed through Slido is a very original question. It's about promotions. And we get this question almost at every forum. And the question more or less is like this: how come you employ new officers when we have people who are ready for promotion and you could have promoted them and so on? And unfortunately, this matter persists, and the reason it persists is because it is a very complex matter. It is about perception. People believe they are ready, they have done their years, they feel confident, but it is not that simple. Before taking on the new tasks, the new promotion, the new role, the company also has to be sure, and it has to go through various steps of approval and authorization. This approval and authorization has to come from the ship, from the master or chief engineer, and not only just one person to say that he's ready for one. For a couple of persons, it has to be filtered through the company. It has to be approved by various people. So it is not such a simple process. Maybe you feel you are ready, yes, and maybe you are ready, but it is also about convincing us that you are ready. So sometimes this will take a little bit more than what you are expecting. And in these cases, I will request that you are patient. I understand, and like we said also in a previous discussion, the younger generation is ever more eager. They want to be promoted quickly. They want to take up their position quickly. We have examples of this, quite a lot of them, and they are capable and they are willing. What I would like to ask is, in these cases, be patient. Promotion is coming. Maybe not at the pace that you wish, but it will be there. We value our people. We want them to advance. We have people in our company that have started out as cadets and are now superintendents. So yes, it will come. Please don't be demotivated. This is another issue that we find. If you are not promoted in time, then you start thinking about it. You are demotivated. What should I do? Should I go to another company? So on. We are there. Share this thought with us. It has happened in the past. I went on board recently to Michela P., I think it was, and the master, he was there, and he said, do you remember when we first met? He said, I was chief officer, and I was desperate for promotion, and you came on board the ship, and he told me that. He said, you know, I feel I'm being neglected. My time is ready. I'm ready to take over. And I told him, okay, wait for another voyage. I will discuss in the office. We discussed it now. He's a master with us for so many years already. So it works. Sometimes it needs a little bit more time. And of course, the first question that shows up is about salary increases. I mean, I never heard this question before. It is, you know, very original question. And my answer is yes, we will look into it. So that is my answer. It is something that, yes, it is, especially for some nationality, we had a recent increase, so we will definitely look into accommodating the other two nationalities as well. So the other three, okay. The other nationalities, let's keep it general. Apart from these points, please feel free now. It is a good opportunity to raise any matter you wish, either people from the ships or people from ashore, or our ladies from our office in I was about to say Ukraine, in Constanza now, or from the Philippines. Anything you wish to raise now is a good opportunity. If you don't want to raise your hand now, again, it's understandable. We always have the Slido application. You can log on and you can put your questions there, and I will try to address them even after the forum in writing. Anything? Questions, comments? If not, even Mr. Nick is ready for a comment, then it seems that we absolutely have nothing there. You discussed it, okay, okay. Just pointing out my mistakes. Sorry? Apparently they can, but you need a microphone. Don't ask a question without a microphone. No, no, we need a microphone because it's being recorded, please. And please identify yourself before asking the question. Stand up.
So hi, my name is Konstantinos. I am here as a guest, and I want to thank very much for allowing us to attend this excellent conference. It has been a great experience for all of us, and I would like to thank the presenters and the people who have obviously worked very hard for this, and thank you very much. Having been in the position of Antonis, I wanted to break a bit the ice, so I saw that nobody was asking a question, and I came across with that one, just to get the floor rolling, and I hope that more people will get the courage now to ask the questions that they want from Antonis.
Thank you, Konstantin. I was about to wrap it up, but obviously... you raised an interesting point about breaking the ice, and we saw that yesterday and today as well, with all the young people from our office that were willing to stand up and talk to us about either their job or their concerns. And I thank them for it, and it is a step, you know, walking outside your comfort zone, being exposed here on stage, it's not easy. So I thank them for that as well. Any other comment? So we will move along. I see nobody. I will invite Ellie, our DPA, and Andreas, our forum chairman, to join me, please, for a recap. So we'll have a very, very quick recap. I don't know if we're behind schedule because there is no timer here. But,
no monitors, no monitors.
No, don't worry. It's been an interesting 2 days for me at least. Rewarding, I would say, for our team. I think we did, you did, and we all did a good job. I'll get to that later. I will get to that later. So today's hot topic in the beginning was about mental well-being. Ellie, what do you think about that?
I think it was such a motivational topic, and of course I think Hara for this, and Kostas Katsouliaris from North Standards for supporting us on this. It is a new hot topic, but maybe not so new after all. It was always there, but no one wanted to touch it. We are trying to get into it a little bit deeper now.
It is true. It has always been there, and it has been a little bit of a taboo. And now we are like getting to grips with it, as you say. And it all has to do with teamwork, I think. What do you think about this? Was the second day was dedicated to teamwork?
True, and basically these two items connect, because if you have the teamwork, you will immediately understand the person alongside you if he has a problem or if he's facing something on board. So immediately this rings a bell, and you start moving things and see what's going on. But on the other hand, teamwork works everywhere else, right? So the point taken is that we are all a team. You are a team on board, we are a team ashore. Everybody is a link to this big chain and machine, but both of us, ashore and on board, are also a team. So we need to have this connection with you guys every day. Whatever is as a doubt or your concern, please give us a call. We are here for you. We are a team, we are colleagues at the end of the day in order to figure things out when you are on board for these 6 months. But I want to pass the microphone to Ellie. There was a comment about the generation gap and how this is affecting things.
I think we should vote. This was the best presentation of the whole Today forum. That's how I felt about it. And it made me realize that it's something I need to keep in the back of my mind daily. All my colleagues are so much younger than I am.
But at least you don't look older, so that is at least a consolation.
You know why? Because I work with them, and I feel so much younger when I work with them. We need to understand each other. We need to bridge this gap.
And it is like Katalin said, it's not only about the generation gap. It's diversity in general. It's also the gender gap, which I'm sure she has felt a lot when she was sailing. This is also something that is in existence. And when we were recently in this conference at Shell, along with our guests over here and over there as well, we heard these 3 words repeated time and time again. And these were diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it is something that we must also start gradually working on. And that is why we have these words around us here today also. Times are changing, and we need to adapt. And this is why we have our title, Embracing the Times of Change.
But also, did we talk about the appraisals?
Appraisals, the presentations were very interesting. It is always a topic that is of concern. People are either uncomfortable about it or they are not being totally honest because they think something is going to happen. I think it is also linked very much with the generation gap as well. Different mentalities, different cultures. It is not an easy topic to approach. Panayotis and Herda, they did a good job to try and pass on the message. And the message is clear, that it is a tool for getting better. And we are going back to the 5 principles that we started. Learning and improving is vital. We cannot learn if we do not touch on the points which we have to get better. So I think this is very important. How all these 5 principles, at the end of the day, they tie in and they are applied to our everyday work.
True. May I add in that we have to mention the other interesting presentations that we had. We had a dinosaur presentation by Mr. Dovles regarding the magic pipes.
Congratulations, Mr. Dovles.
Thank you very much for being
We stole
here.
your time. You wanted an extra 1 million years, but what to do? We had to cut it a bit short.
But
As
also,
long as ECP is there.
we still have the CII coming up for everyone on board and ashore. We talked about the drills and how important this is for your safety on board. And it's not just a safety record, it's something that you will use in case of an emergency. Finally, we ended up our presentation with the weak signals, which is the minor things that you see here and there, even at your home or ashore, on board, everywhere. So pick up on that and see what can be done in order to get things better and avoid any safety hazards.
That is true, and it all comes back to our title of our conference, Embracing the Tides of Change. Things are changing, they are changing rapidly, they are changing every day. We are here, you are here, we are here together as a team to navigate through these changes, to integrate between us, the young generation, the previous generation, all of us to work together smoothly and arrive safely at the object. And of course, the object is?
Get home
To
safe.
get home safe.
To get home safe. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
And we are almost finished now. We have come at a point where we will need to present some loyalty awards. So I would like Eleni to join me and Panayotis. As we usually do, we have selected some of our loyal seafarers. You are all loyal, of course. Some of our loyal seafarers who have been with us for many years, and we have a small gift and presentation of our appreciation over these years. So Panayotis will start calling out the names. And please, when you hear your name, please come over to the stage so you can receive your present. Maria Malegu is also here. Maria, thank you. Παναγιώτη, θες να μιλήσει, Ελένη, πριν μιλήσεις.
Hello, everyone. We are extremely happy that we have met in person after 3 years of lockdowns and restrictions. For me, you are the most important part of our organization, and having the chance to interact with you all has been amazing. I really hope you have enjoyed these 2 days and you have found the experience unique. I am very thankful for everything you do for our company, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all again. Thank you.
So, we have selected, as Adonis said, some of our crew who has been years with us, to show them our appreciation. So I will call your names and please come to the stage. So first one is with us since 2006, and it's Chief Engineer Simon Conrad Abraham. The second one is second mate Saravanan Thankaraj. He's with us since 2004. So next, being with us since 2003, our captain, Oleg Hrus. Congratulations. Going forward, trainee master Yuri Manalati. Yuri is with us since 2001. Also, we have since 2001 with us, please come to the stage, Chief Cook Valery Dievichev. Now we are moving on to the dinosaurs. Since 1995, Captain Vasilios Ergas. Last but not least, from our seafarers, is the biggest dinosaur, Pumpman Georgios Poulos. Έλα. Mr. George is with us since 1992. Έλα για φωτογράφια, πήγαινε. And not to forget our CENMAR staff, Miss Natalia Gribinyuk. She's with us since 2013. One of the founding members of CENMAR Odessa. And last, from CENMAR Manila, our own recruiter, Mr. Wilfredo Gose. Now I will pass the mic to Anthony for two special awards.
So one of these awards is important because it also ties in with one of the presentations we had earlier.
It's second engineer, Mark Ureña.
And this is a gift because it is the presence here, his presence here shows that the importance of drills and how being prepared in an emergency actually helps and saves people. So we thank you very much. He participated aboard the Alexa when we had this fire incident. Please, congratulations and thank you very much for your hard work and your preparation and your dedication. Please. And last, I would like to, and this is last, after this is the third last. So last of all, I would like to invite a good friend who has been working with us for quite a long time, Mr. Tiberio. Please come over here. All of you know him, and this is a special appreciation and an award, not only for our cooperation these years, but also for the great help that he offered us when we had to deal with this crisis in Ukraine. Himself and his wife and his team, they were there to help us and to help you and to organize all this new setup that we have. So we thank you for that, my friend. We thank you very much. Thank you. Please. Thank you very much, Tiberio. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Yanni. Thank you, Eleni.
Thank you, guys.
It's been great. Παναγιώτη, έχουμε άλλο τίποτα? Τα πήγαν ευχαριστίες μόνο.
We're done.
Okay. So before we close, just thank you, Yanni. Just
better luck next year.
One more minute of your time, not more. I would like to thank a few people. I have a few pages here that I would like to read through. Usually I don't use documents, I remember everything, but now I will try my best not to leave out anyone. So first of all, I think it was a great event, and I want to thank the organizing committee. It is like, it was already said, it's a group of people working together. It's a result of teamwork, but I would like to thank some people who stand out, and that is Andreas, who is our chairman. Dedicated to this cause. We have a man who is behind the scenes, is Kostas over there. A big round of applause for Kostas. He's put in a lot of work, a lot of hours. I don't know how he manages to stay awake. I think he has a magic potion that he drinks. I'm not sure about that. Also, we have Olga. Olga has helped us very much. Olga, please, Olga. Lovely, Olga. We thank you very much for putting in this hard work. To all our presenters and speakers, special thanks. You were all great. You were all wonderful. But I need to say it again, a special mention and special thanks to all these people that had the courage to stand up in front of this audience on stage for the first time. It is a difficult thing. I would like to mention them by name. It will take about half an hour. So thank you very much, Laura, Elena, Sofia, Vaya, Stella, Maria, Mam, Apostolis, Mina, Vasilis, Nikos, Stavrakis, Christina, Yannis, Romanidis, Pavlos, Antigoni, Paraskevy, Mado, Maria, MGM, Herda, Captain Eleni, Lydia, Angeliki, Alexander. It's only 21 people. Apologize if I forgot somebody. So thank you very much for your courage to stand up and speak. Thank you also to our guest speakers, Kostas Katsouliaris, in the back. The dinosaur, like he likes to be called, Mr. Douglas. And of course, to the myth, the legend, Nick Seaman, our man over here. Thank you very much, Nick. A round of applause to our co-hosts, again, Andreas. Andreas is everywhere. Andreas, Margarita, over the back, and Yannis, Vakas. Yannis, congratulations. I think they did an excellent job at keeping everything flowing. Thank you very much. To all the actors in all these videos, all these productions that you have just seen, and the production team behind these videos, and to Theodoris, our director. Thank you very much. Marilena and her team, who added all these fun games and activities. Thank you very much to Marilena. Our technical guys in the back, thank you. A big round. They did a lot of work to arrive at this result. So thank you to all our IT and AV guys. Thanks a lot. Second last, I'd like to thank our management. Yannis and Eleni are representing our management here. Thank you for providing us with the resources, but also with the total freedom to embrace these ideas of trust, of all these things that we have on the tables, of teamwork. Everything that we're doing here is because we have been allowed the freedom to do this and pursue these goals, the goal zero. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for this. And finally, thank you to you guys. You came from all over the world to be here with us. Thank you for your years with us. Thank you for employment on our ships, for taking the goods all around the world. You deserve it. Thank you very much. Next time, let's meet somewhere else. Thanks a lot. This concludes our forum. Now, the last thing is a group photo outside. There is another company, I won't mention the name. They are set up at a stage over there. We'll try to squeeze in. Anyway, we'll do it. Thank you very much, guys. Please follow Andreas.